Oh boy, do I have a build for you. I didn't think I'd make a build quite this early in the game, but this has compelled me to. From the unbelievable wood virtue scaling damage to the lightning itself, puts this in the S tier status. Now this is truly a lightning build with the ability to deal insane damage from a distance while negatively affecting the enemy's spirit gauge meter. You have them getting stunned back to back. Just look at how I manhandled Sun Jian. Hey, it's 𝒉𝒆𝒍𝒑𝒔, and I really appreciate you clicking on this video because you're in for a treat. The purpose of this build guide is two-part. To accumulate a ridiculous amount of shock status effect on the enemy, I'm able to completely control the flow of battle, meaning that I can fight close or from a distance depending on the enemy. Now I know that you may be thinking that you consume too much spirit by casting these wizardry spells back to back, but don't worry, I got you covered. The gear that I'm using, coupled with the virtue, is what will allow you to utilize the style of play with very minimal penalties for doing it. And remember, this game's combat is also highly based on your skill alone when it comes to parries and battle instincts in general. And if you have a high skill level in that regard, then this build will be extremely powerful. Now let's get into this amazing lightning build, and I want to first go over the gear that I'm using, as I believe this is where it all begins. This mask I'm wearing is very distinctive, and I'm sure you recognize it. You probably have one as well. You can get this really early in the game, and I was lucky to obtain a legendary version of it. Just so happens that it completely fits with the way I set this build up, and I haven't even embedded it yet with anything. But everything on here is for the purposes of increasing my ability to sustain and deal damage with my wizardry spells. It's considered a light load, and that's always great for mobility, which I'm prioritizing in this build. And check this out right here. This is a perfect opportunity to tell you about the primary weapon because it directly relates. It's called the 5-colored cudgel, the legendary staff that has an insanely fast status effect buildup. Once they're afflicted, that's when that damage to an enemy with shock kicks in. The reason why it builds up so quickly on enemies is, first of all, I also have shock accumulation on enemies. Plus, after I imbue the weapon or enchant the weapon with lightning using the spell called Lightning Weapon, the way in which the cudgel attacks with its multiple combat points combined with how lightning stacks overall is very good with the wood virtue. Not to mention that the cudgel has an attack bonus that's rated an A when you have a high level wood virtue stat. As you can see, mine is stacked pretty high, and this is what I was talking about, how you can fight close or long range, because the wood virtue affects HP and the amount of spirit lost when attacked, so fighting close quarters is light work. The metal virtue, which I'm working on now, affects the duration that a high level of spirit can be maintained for, and most importantly, the amount of spirit consumed by wizardry spells. This is how I'm able to spam these spells while maintaining my combat prowess. Because if a boss or any other enemy decides to lunge at me, even if my spirit gauge is in the negative, my wood virtue is high enough to sustain it, even if I get hit and get stunned. So I'm not a squish ball at all, trust me. But back to the gear. I believe the warlock mask and ritual robe are necessary. The other gear is your preferred choice. Just make sure it all coincides with the way you would like your build to be. Like this right here. Everything I have on, I made sure to have something to do with lightning to maximize its effectiveness. The resistances are your choice. By the way, there are tons of different attributes that you can slot in all over your gear, and I won't go over all of them. It'll make this video too long. The reason why is because it also boils down to what you want, secondary to the specific build style you want to go for. So I threw in luck in one place, spirit sustainability in another, and a few other things that I would like to do. A lot of it is trial and error and is highly determined based on your experience playing the game. But here's what I decided to go with in regards to the skills. As I said before, I'm using Lightning Weapon, which enchants your current weapon with lightning for a short time. This significantly increases damage and helps the lightning build up so much quicker. Next, I have Lightning Bolt. It calls down a bolt of lightning on a locked target or a point at a certain distance in front of you. This is awesome for hostile wizards and archers that sit on rooftops. you know how annoying they can be when you're fighting a tough enemy. They can get you killed. So I usually just sit back, survey the area, and take them out before I begin a close quarters fight. Also, when you're at low health and need to take out an enemy from a distance, this is great as well. The third one I'm using I really love. It's called Lightning Rush. This hurls a lightning bolt that rushes forward. It does cost a lot of spirit, but man, is it worth it. Plus, as I said, the gear I have on helps to maintain it. By the way, using these wizardry spells really fills up the enemy spirit gauge in a negative so that it'll be easier to administer your fatal strike once they get stunned. Finally, I have Spirit Fervor. You know I need something to balance this all out, and what this does is grants you and your allies a positive effect that increases spirit gain when attacking. Now, I will soon unlock Heaven's Rage as it calls down many bolts of lightning to strike in front of you. I just haven't got there yet, but I'm satisfied with where I'm at now, and once I get Heaven's Rage, it's gonna be insane. I know it is. At that point, I'll be able to call myself a true god of thunder. By the way, the divine beast I'm using is 𝐜𝐨𝐤. I of course want one that surrounds lightning, but I don't know if there's one in the game, so 𝐜𝐨𝐤 will do for now. It's an earth beast and deals very high damage to certain bosses especially. I can't believe how powerful this build is, and I just wanted to share it with you. So please comment below and let me know what lightning builds that you've made or any others you have. Also, if you want to leave any insight about this build I've shown you, please feel free. I appreciate you watching to the end, and if it helped you out in any way, make sure to like the video and subscribe to my channel if you're new here. I'll see you in my next video. Be right out.
Yo, man, getting no cheese in the club.